So many companies outside the outside of Africa would like to invest in Africa. Where do you recommend that they invest? In Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya? Obviously you're probably partial to Nigeria, but are there good investment opportunities for non-Africans in Africa?
Well, there are good opportunities for everybody, and I think there's protection also for everybody. As we speak today, even foreign investors. Let me give you an example. In Nigeria, if I have a partnership with you that I'm investing, I won't have what you call minimum taxation. But if the company is owned by myself alone, as a Nigerian or Nigerian entity, we have a minimum taxation. So there's quite a lot in terms of inviting foreigners to come and invest in Africa. But countries that I can suggest for people to invest, one of them, of course, Nigeria. Ghana is a very good place to invest. Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya. Kenya is also a very good place to invest.
Now, I first met you a number of years ago when I was raising my firm's African investment fund, and you invested in it. And today, the bloom seems to be off the rose in African private equity investing. It was very attractive to many people 4, 5, 6 years ago. Today, it seems to be less attractive. Is that because the economies in Africa have gone down a bit, or what would you say is the reason?
Well, I think most of that reason, is to do of, first of all, lack of understanding of where to even invest. Look at the investment that were made with you. I think I can say that 90% of whatever we invested in, we are doing very well. So I think it is where you should invest. Even myself as an African, I cannot invest in every single sector. So I have to be very choosy of where I invest. There's a lot of, wrong perception. People read stories from newspapers and they believe what they are, reading. But I think, as we go along, there are quite a lot of changes in most African countries to try and change in terms of, focus on the economy.
Now, you live principally in Lagos, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And how many people are there in Lagos?
In Lagos today, we have about 25 million.
25 million people?
Yes, in terms of population. I know it's a very small...
So getting around in Lagos, which I've tried to do, is not that easy, though getting around in New York's not that easy either. But for example, when you get around, do you have like special police cars that take you around? How do you get around Lagos?
Well, I get around in Lagos, sometimes I have, police escort, but not all the time. Okay. Over the weekend, I drive myself.
You drive yourself?
Oh, yes, I do. I drive myself.
And people stare at you and say, there's the wealthiest man in Africa driving himself?
They do sometimes when they recognize, the person driving, yes.
So do you go to a restaurant by yourself? Do people come up for selfies or they ask you for money?
They don't really ask me for money, but even here, anytime when I go to places, to either eat or to, I get a lot of requests for selfies, it's normal.
Now, you have some outside interests. One of them, I think you're interested in what we call in the United States soccer, but other people call football. So the Arsenal team, and is that a team that you would like to buy someday?
It is a team that, yes, I would like to buy, someday. But like what I keep saying today, we have $20 billion worth of projects. And I think that's really what I want to concentrate on. I'm trying to finish building the company, and then after we finish, maybe sometime in 2021, we can...
so you're not buying a team right now?
I'm not buying Arsenal right now. I'm buying Arsenal when I finish all this project, because I'm trying to take the company to the next level.
What are the attributes that you think you have brought to the table which make you successful?
I think the most important one, number one, David, if you are going into any business, you must understand the business A to Z. You must know that business.
Okay, so in terms of Africa itself, generally, are you bullish on Africa's prospects as a place in which people can invest, private equity firms or industrial companies to invest?
I think I'm very, very bullish when it comes to Africa, and it is the main reason, David, today why we have $20 billion that we're investing all, at a go, which will finish by end of next year, first quarter of, in the next 2 years. Let's say in the next 2 years. I'm very, very bullish, in Africa. We have done very, very well in, Africa, and I can tell you, if we continue with what we are doing today, based on our own projections, we will be able to be, within the next 5 years in the Fortune 100.
Now, from time to time on some television networks, I see advertisements for Dangote.
Yes.
As are for your company. Is that just general brand building? Why do you advertise, let's say in the United States, the Dangote brand, because most of your businesses are not in the United States?
Well, it's a brand building, and like what we have planned to do, we are not going to remain dominant only in Africa. We are going to invest outside Africa. Because what we are doing right now, David, we are investing, yes, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa. But if you look at what we are building today, we have a company that has revenues of $4 billion. In the next 2 years, we'll have a company that will have a revenue of about $30 billion. So with that, we'll have quite a lot of money. What we are trying to do is to use major parts